Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet. I recorded a series of short funks this evening. I thought, gee, I missed one topic that I wanted to talk about, and that's associated with the ballot measures for cannabis commercialization, let's just say. Some would say legalization, and also medicinal cannabis in the US. Honestly, having been relatively critical of the cannabis commercialization legislation, the fact that it erodes criminal law, well, to a certain extent, in some cases it erodes criminal law. It's not legalization by any stretch of legalization, but the fact that it erodes criminal law in California, I think, is a step forward. It means that the means of stop and frisk and all this other stuff that police actively use against certain minorities and communities, well, they're still going to stop and frisk, I'm sure, but there'll be one less thing that they can actually pull people out of cars for and charge people with, one would hope. The law is still to be, enacted. The stuff associated with 215 and medicinal in California is all very curious and somewhat troubling. But as someone who's followed medical cannabis in California, at least over the past few years, and is relatively proactive associated with the potential here, I'm okay with the situation. I mean, my view is, in terms of a collective movement, in terms of things moving towards legalization in some meaningful sense, this election night has been incredibly positive in that light. And in terms of moving the US past a tipping point, where a majority of the states now have medicinal cannabis, I think in general I can look at this as a relatively positive thing, and it is what it is. So through this, no doubt legislation will be created as it gets more normalized, and as criminalization is removed, and maybe at a federal level, things get decriminalized, maybe. I mean, it seems unlikely that President Trump might do that, but still, we passed a tipping point in the US in this election associated with cannabis, and my perspective is, if it starts to right the criminalization problems, and if it starts to right the medical and academic literature associated with this, we might get to a point in the near future where this 70-year farce, which has been the war on drugs, $15 billion this year for cannabis just alone. I mean, that creates a lot of misinformation, a lot of propaganda, and just a lot of really stupid legislation. And ultimately, it creates a wing of the police which is militarized towards a very specific purpose, which is fundamentally irrational and based in long-standing racist situations. So, this is worth narrating. It's worth putting out as a short funk. And from my perspective, although I wasn't particularly pleased associated with the wording of cannabis commercialization in California, it has happened. It's now for the legislature to screw it up, and no doubt they will, immeasurably, as they did in Washington State. So, we'll just have to wait and see how they do it. But they've been so heavy-handed with regards to this thing before it was even decriminalized. Oh well, maybe somewhat, in a curious way, 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.